Hey guys, we're back with another topic. This time we're going to go over observations and inference. And basically, these are tools or little processes that we use to gather information and then kind of guide us along finding answers for ourselves. These are things you do all the time. We're just going to put names on these things and kind of show you really what they are. The first thing I want to talk about is observations. And an observation is really anything you gather with your five senses. And this is basically the act of noticing things. You either touch something, taste something, hear something, smell something, or see something.
So, Mr. Harkins, are all observations the same?
No, all observations not the same, but I'm tired of talking. I'm going to let this guy handle it.
I was going to say there's actually two different types. The first type is known as a quantitative observation. And what I want you to focus on is that there's an N in it. And that's important because quantitative observations involve measuring or counting something. So the number is important. That's the N part. Examples would be like 3 meters long, or 4 marbles, or even 35 degrees Celsius. They're all quantitative observations.
What if it doesn't have a number, though?
Well, then you're going to do something called a qualitative observation. Qualitative observations are nice because they're a nice way of describing something that is not actually measurable. Here's where we're going to say things like that flower is red, or you're going to talk about how something tastes bitter. So you're talking about the qualities of it, not so much how many or how much.
So if I got this right, then what you're saying is we've got quantitative observations. They have an N in there, and that reminds us that these are any observations we make with a number involved in it. And qualitative has to do with like sort of more the five senses and the qualities of something.
Exactly. Another way to think of it is quantitative answers a single question of how much or how many.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Outside of it, once you make your observations, you have to do something with this, because observation is like collecting data. What we oftentimes will do is we make something called an inference. Now, an inference is not just some kind of random wild guess that you make. It's a conclusion or a deduction that you make based on those observations that you did. And it's a decision ultimately that's made based on what you noted during all those observations.
So here, let's practice. I'm going to throw out 3 observations, and I'm going to let these guys here come up with some inferences. You ready? So I'm going to read these off. Observation: I hear people screaming. I smell cotton candy, popcorn, and hamburgers, and I see a lot of people.
Well, first of all, are these all quantitative or qualitative?
That's an
Observation?
excellent question. The first one here, I hear people screaming. That's going to be a qualitative observation because it's a quality of hearing things. I smell cotton candy, popcorn, and hamburgers.
Ooh,
also,
quantitative, right? Because there's 3 of them.
No, it's not the number of observations you make. It has to refer to a specific number in the observation.
Oh,
In this
okay.
case, you're still talking about qualitative. You're smelling these things. There's no number involved.
Okay.
Now, this last one, I see a lot of people. Do you notice that there isn't a specific number, but a lot of people refers to a quantity? And
An
there's
amount,
your
right?
quantitative, an amount. So there we have a lot of people would be the number out of that.
That makes sense.
So now that I gave you guys all that, give me some inferences you can make of these things we've observed.
I think that these are observations made by someone at Six Flags.
That's good.
I was going to go that I think it's an observation somebody made at a circus because the people screaming are afraid of the clowns.
It could be that all sane people are terrified of clowns.
Well, who's right?
You know, we can't really tell without testing.
Okay, so are inferences really anything that is provable or?
They're not so much that they're provable, so much as they guide us towards possibly the next step in our scientific investigation. So you're like, I think it's this. How do we go about finding out if that's accurate or not, if that's true?
Okay.
With an experiment?
Possibly. So let's look at these 2 sets of animal tracks. I'm going to let you guys do this. If you can, team up, list 3 observations, and then just give me an inference you can make of that. So just with what you see there, one of you guys give an observation.
It's probably worth noting to the people watching the pictures below. That's why we're looking down.
Yes, we should
Yes.
say that. We're not just like bummed out.
Anyway, those are small tracks and they're red.
Those are good. And what kind of observation would that be? Qualitative or quantitative?
Qualitative.
Yes, because it's quality, no numbers necessarily.
Okay, and I could say that down below, there looks like there is a bunch of green tracks, and I'm going to count it, and it looks like 13, I think. Yep, 13.
Oh,
So what kind of observation would that be?
I think that was qualitative and quantitative. 13 for the quantitative, qualitative for the colors.
So you
Very
can
good.
make a double observation there and mix them together? We don't have to separate these things?
You sure can.
Excellent.
they also look like they're going towards each other.
Ooh.
They do, and
that's
there's
good.
a direction in there
Is that
too.
an observation though, or is that an inference? I think that's an inference because we don't know for sure that they're actually.
What if they're
going towards
walking
each other.
backwards?
That's right.
We could get tricky on this thing. We got to watch how closely.
Maybe if we saw more, we can figure some out.
Maybe if we saw more, we might get more information, be able to draw a better conclusion on
See
this.
if our inference was right.
Oh. All right. So well, that changes things a little bit here. I'd have to agree with you that what you said before about your observation of them going towards each other. I think it definitely looks like they go towards each other.
I'd see the green ones spread out a little bit
Right. They
before
do.
they collide.
So what's an inference we could make there? Now that we see green and red footprints clustered around, we could make some inferences on this. What do you think that the story is behind that?
Maybe the green one sees the red one and starts chasing after it, and they get into a fight.
Mm-hmm.
Could be.
Yeah, because the thing's spread out, so
Yeah.
you think it starts being. Yeah, I think they got into a fight. I think they're, and this would be an inference, I believe. I don't know, but I think they're dinosaurs because they look like dinosaur
They got
tracks.
kind of dinosaur feet,
They
but
do a little
also
bit.
knowing that dinosaurs love punk rock music, I could make the inference that maybe they're listening to the Misfits and having a mosh pit right there.
Ooh.
That's possible.
That's that.
That
Let's
might
find-
be a stretch though. So
let's find
sometimes
out more.
inferences aren't very accurate.
Ooh.
Well, all right. Well, so now the observation is only the green one's leaving.
Mm-hmm.
There's only green footprints
Is that a
remaining
qualitative
Right,
or
only green.
quantitative?
I'd say it's qualitative.
Mm.
because green is a color.
Or we could say there's only one set of tracks left.
Yes, which would then make that quantitative. Very nice. So you made this two different types of observations with the same piece of data. They're the footprints.
Cool.
And is it not a bit of an inference on our part to call these footprints?
Yeah.
They are
that's true.
footprint shaped.
They could be paint splotches.
Now, one thing I'd like to point out real quickly for you guys here is you're seeing, oh my God, these guys are drawing so many lines in that. The important thing to notice is this is really a conversation, and we do this all the time. It's important to understand what are observations, what are inferences, but also know you do this constantly. This is a normal process you do every day without thinking about it. We're
Yep.
trying to put little tags on it to say, look, these are tools. You guys are already scientists. You're already doing this.
All right.
That's observations and inferences, I think.
In a nutshell.
All right.
Later,
see,
guys.
See you in class.